this online. So it's going out, but we'll have a recording so you can go back and look at this afterwards. Yeah. So I guess my background is I'm an ex-teacher, high school teacher, and became a Google certified teacher and trainer in 2011. And so now I spend a lot of time just working with schools to try and help them with their processes from a teaching and learning point of view and around student engagement, but also from an office admin point of view, just helping them transition from Outlook environments to Google and so on. So the questions you've asked me are typical of most school environments. Like, we're already doing things this way, how do we now continue to do them this way and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen with you, and with that, what it'll also enable me to do is to work with Roby a little bit and just show you how things look if we share them and so on. So Roby, is that coming through on your screen?
Yep.
Yep, okay. So basically what I've done is I've opened up Gmail in the browser, so mail.google.com/tsv or whatever your domain is. You can also push this back to Outlook and different things like that, and that's fine. But generally speaking, what we find, you want to have synergy, right? So it makes it complicated to manage. If some people are using Outlook, some people are using Gmail browser, some people are using this other thing, and trying to get it all to talk and not have glitches becomes increasingly hard, especially as volume of email goes up, more users are added, and so on. Also, in terms of synergy, we quite often find that it's better if everyone can use the same system, because if you've got a question, you just simply ask the person next to you rather than having to find somebody else who's using a different system and who have some experience and knowledge and so on. So when you open up your mail account inside Gmail, there's a few differences, mainly in the way that it works and the way that it organises emails is the first main difference that most people notice. The way that labels, and in Outlook they're called folders, sort of operate, that's a little bit different, not hugely different, just a little bit, and just the way that everything's laid out. So I want to show you a few tips to get this to work like you would be used to working, so it's not too much of a frustration in change, and to get it looking like you'd probably be used to be looking at, and then you can work backwards from that and say, well, these are the changes that I want or don't want, and so on. So one of the great things about Google is that it gives you a lot of ability to customize to your own liking. So you might see people that have got this and they've got all pictures behind it, different setups. That's all based on user preference, okay? So to get to your settings up the top here, you just click on the setting, the cog, and then we click on settings. And one of the first things we usually get people to do is to turn on some lab features. Now, lab features are just extra features that people have created to make Gmail work a little bit better. Okay? So some of these features, and once again, you can watch this video at any time, but if you want to write them down, you can. Some of the features that make Google or Gmail work a lot easier is apps search. Okay, so basically, as you're going through the list, you would find them and then click the enable button just there. All right, we'll turn it on. So you have app search. What that enables you to do is search for documents and sites right inside your Gmail. Now, Google's known for its search capabilities, right? That's what they're famous for. All their search technology is built into your Google account. Okay, so it's built into your Gmail, your Drive, and so on. So the way that you can find information easily on the internet, that same search technology applies to your emails, which makes life a lot easier. Auto Advance is a good one. It helps you really keep your inbox down to 0. We talked in the last session with the teaching staff about why you want to try and keep as few emails in your inbox as you possibly can. There's a lot of research around the psychology of emails that says that when you have an inbox that's full of emails, even if you've read them all, it weighs on you emotionally and subconsciously. You want to keep that to as low as 0 as you possibly can. You can see even today I haven't really been answering emails. I've only got 29 emails coming to my inbox that I haven't read yet today. And I've got all the things we've been talking about, filters set up and labels set up and emails are all happening. I've got this whole automated process in the background. In terms of getting through my emails really quickly, I use Auto Advance. So when I go to look at my inbox, I don't look at the latest messages that come in. I go right to the bottom and I work from the bottom up. It helps you get through your emails a lot quicker. And so what Auto Advance does is as soon as I've finished actioning one email, it automatically launches me into the next email. So it's an automation, time-saving, less clicking kind of a thing. Canned responses is like your email templates. So you can set up canned responses so you don't have to type emails. You can just put that template in, a couple of clicks of a button, and then send it. So it's a really handy tool. When we talk about automation, you can automatically send canned responses. So if an email comes in, you can trigger a canned response to be sent without you touching the email. So in terms of automation and time saving, it's a really handy feature. Google Calendar gadget, I enable. This is what puts my calendar just here. And what it does is it tells me while I'm in Gmail what my next appointments are, and so I can just see it there. Nice and easy. Pictures in chat I use a lot. I like to see who I'm talking to. So when somebody's chatting to me, I can see the picture that they're using if they've put one in there. And it just helps me see who I am talking to. Preview pane lets you set up your Gmail so it looks like how Outlook used to look. So you can have your emails on the left-hand side and then the email content on the right-hand side, and puts it into preview pane for you. I set up my chat over here on the right-hand side. One of the great features of using Gmail in the browser is that you can add people here to your chat list, and you can send them messages, and you don't have to wait for their email reply. So if they've got a green line underneath them, that means that they're online. Okay. So if I click on this one here, for instance, which is Roby, a little box pops up, and I can just type in here, "Hey Roby," and that then is now appeared on his screen. Okay.
On my phone, did you hear it just beep?
Yeah. So it shows up on your mobile devices if you've got the Google Talk Hangout, and then you can see that Roby's typing to me, and it comes back to me. So in terms of getting quick responses and so on, that's there. If you're in a meeting or you're focused and you don't want to be interrupted, then you can turn off your visibility so people can't send you a message. But in terms of working with staff, really handy. So when Roby and I are communicating on a lot of things, quite often it's all just by message. And that's a great way to be able to do that. So you can see Roby's typing at the moment, there's green lines just flashing. And it's all there. All right, sounds good. The next one.
Back, will that history keep?
The history forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can turn off history if you wanted to. So if I was to show you, just so you can see what it looks like Adam here at Google, all of Google by default. See how it says history is off down there? I'm not sure if you can see that in the white line, but their history is always turned off by default. Okay, so then you've got...
Is it a particular setup that I've got, Michael? All of the chats that I have appear in my email as well.
They can, in terms of a label?
No, like this conversation we just had there on the little chat thing. I see the same one in my email inbox. Maybe that's something I've set up somewhere along the line. So it keeps a record of it. Yeah. Not just in chat itself, but in the inbox as well.
Yeah, okay, because I can go chats, and here's the last. This is all my chat messages. Same thing.
That's just like a transcript, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, records it all. The last one that we turned on today, the guys found really helpful, was undo send. So in the labs, undo send enables you to send an email. It'll hold it in drafts for a predetermined amount of time, so 5 seconds, 10 seconds, up to 30 seconds, and then it will send it. So you can turn that one on and then be able to pull emails back. Now it's not Outlook where you used to be able to send an email and then pull it out of that person's inbox. It just holds it in a holding pattern before it sends. So I'll show you how to set that up later as well if you like. In terms of all these other features up here, and obviously anytime you change anything, go right to the bottom and click Save Changes. All right, we'll save them for you. The other thing that you want to look at is just make sure that in your general section everything's set up for you, and you can go through it. One of the settings that you can have a look at is this conversation view. All right? Now, with conversation view, in my emails, see here how it says Eric, me, and then Blake, and it's got the number 8 next to it. If I click on that, that tells me that there's 8 emails in that conversation. So it's like on your mobile phone. You know when you send a text message, it doesn't send you create a new message every time like it used to do on the old phones. It just puts it all underneath each other and you can see it like a transcript, right? So the great thing about this is it doesn't just show me messages people are sending to me, it shows me my emails going backward and forward. So to see all of them, I just click that little down arrow, and so here's one that Eric sent me, then here's a reply where I CC'd in Blake, then Blake replied, and then Eric replied, and Eric, and then Blake, and then me, and then Blake, and so it just goes down, right? So I can see all the conversations that have happened around that discussion topic, and it all goes on the subject line. So any email with the subject Chromebook licenses are going to be put into that stack, and I can see all the emails sent and received in there in one place. So really handy tool. If I want to just go to the last one, I can just click on collapse all, and there's the last one there. Okay. Now, in Outlook, you know how there's one email, one email, one email. If you want to go back to that view, that's when you go to that settings, and you go to conversation view and you turn it off. Okay, and it'll go back to the one by one. But honestly, from keeping your inbox nice and neat, I don't know why anybody would ever go back to it. In fact, the challenge has always been, do it for 2 weeks and see if you go back. And I've never yet had somebody come back and say, you know what, I did go back and I changed it. So they just use it that way. You can also have a send and archive button for your replies. In terms of keeping your inbox clean, if I was to reply to this email just here, I have this extra button here that says send, and then it says plus and then archive, just there. If I type the message, if I click that send button, it will send the email and it will remove everything out of my inbox and put it into the archives folder for me. Right? So I don't have to have emails sitting there all the time, and I don't have to do that as a manual process where I go and find emails and archive them to get rid of them. So if I just click send and archive, takes it away, puts it in the archive, hasn't deleted it. Now, I'll just make sure that I mention that, because if you wanted to keep it in the inbox, you just click the send button, and it works exactly the same as Outlook would. It'd send the email, keep it there. Right?
And where's the archive?
So the archive is in what's called your all mail over here. Just here, so let me just delete that for a sec. In your all mail, it shows you all your emails to and from and where they sit. And all these labels here tell you where that email's sitting. Okay?
So can you tell the archive to go file somewhere on your C drive or your...
No, so this is all online, it's all in the cloud. Now you can turn offline email on so that if the internet goes down, you can still send emails. It just holds them until the internet comes back on and then it sends them again. But everything gets stored on the cloud. It's not actually on your computer. Okay, and it's not on T drive or...
Or an Outlook current, so yeah, you can right click on and copy the email and save it into a file.
Yeah.
So, but can you do that with different?
You can, I can't remember how. Yeah, so you're talking about, like we use this with Parramatta. One of the guys was working on pastoral care and sometimes he needed to actually download an email and have it on his computer as a copy. There is a way to do it. I can't remember how we figured out how to do it. All right. So with all those, that send and archive, it just deletes it. It doesn't delete it. So quite often, people will come in or they'll email me and say, I keep replying to these emails and I hit this button, and then Google keeps deleting my emails. It's not deleting them, it's just putting them in the archive folder. Okay? So are you okay with that? In terms of settings, most of the other ones are all pretty standard. The other thing that Google has is stars, where you can choose how many stars you want, and that can just be a workflow thing. So if you go into your inbox, you might want to star some emails, which are just easy to find. All right? And if I click on it, it'll go yellow, click it again, it'll go orange, and I can just keep clicking through different colours. If I wait a few seconds, click it again, it takes it away.
Is that the only way to categorise it?
No. There's a couple of ways to do it. So that's one of them. If I click on the star folder over here, or label, all my starred emails will all be in one place. And you can just go through and find, well, orange means something, I need to do something about that, and so on. So it's just one way to do it. I don't really use it. The only reason these ones here are starred is because I probably accidentally clicked the start button on my mobile phone or something. So I don't really use them. So are we okay with that concept? Yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest and say no. How did you get to, all the information you were giving us, and we clicked on the cog.
Yep.
And then what you had on the screen, we didn't manage to find that back here at all.
Find settings of it.
That one?
Yeah, we got settings, clicked on settings.
And then labs.
And then?
Labs up the top.
What we've got, Jan, I'll just send it to you now. We've got a link. All the stuff that Mike's showing you, when we did this in schools, we went in and everyone came in with their laptops, they sat and they logged into Google, and we said, now follow these steps, and we had everyone do the same thing, and they all set their mailboxes up. They all wrote a bunch of rules. They all configured it step by step. I'll send you that step-by-step guide.
All right, because I did have labs at one stage on it, but I've lost it, but that's okay. I'm just not following where that, I hear what you're saying, Gary, but I haven't, and I've got in and clicked on it, but that's right, keep going.
Okay, that's right. And I'm just going reasonably fast because I know you can come and watch the video at any time and see what I'm talking about. Okay.
He's recording all this on YouTube, so I'll send you all the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more just so you understand when somebody, like if Roby says, just go and turn your labs on, you understand why he's saying that. All right? Just gives you extra functionality. If you think your emails have been deleted, it's that send and archive button. You can turn that off if you want in your general settings. In terms of how labels work, so labels are like your old folders, but in Outlook, you could only take one email and put it in one folder, and you had to think really hard about where do I put that sometimes. And depending on how you're feeling on the day, it could have gone there, or it could have gone there, and it could have gone there, right? In Gmail, because everything's online, emails don't necessarily sit anywhere. Okay, so don't try and think of an email physically sitting in a spot. Just think of an email as being available. Right? So I could take this email here, and across the top, I've got some extra options, some extra buttons, and this button here is called Labels. Now I could apply multiple labels to this email, and now this email here is sitting in multiple spots. Okay, it's not making a copy of it, and now there's a copy there, and then there's another copy there. It's literally just taking the one email and just making it available in different places. Okay, so when you're there's two answers to the question that we had before we started about moving emails and so on. One of them is that you can label an email as many times as you like. It's not unlimited, but more labels than you care to know about. Or you can move an email to a label. All right. Well, it would be the same as moving one email and putting it in one folder. Now, at any time, see how the labels are all across the top here, and they're labeled for me. If I don't want an email sitting in that label anymore, I just click the X button next to it, and it just removes that label. Okay. Now, if I wanted to take this and physically move it like you would have done in Outlook, that's where you use this move button and you move it to whichever label you want. Okay? It will take it out of your inbox and it will now only be sitting in that one place. So are we okay with that concept? We'll get a couple of nods and a couple of blank stares. Hopefully
How did you set up the names of those labels?
The labels? Yep, good question. So there's two ways you can do it. With Google, there's always lots of ways you can do things. In here, I just clicked on, I've got a lot of labels that are hidden, okay, because I don't want to see them all the time. I'll show you how to change that. If I click on more labels and go right to the bottom of my label list, there's a button here that says create new label. Okay. I click on that.
Creating a folder.
Yeah, so it's saying creating a folder. Put it in there. I can put it under one, so you can have like a folder within a folder. Okay, you'd be used to that. The other way that you can really easily do it is if I'm in that email, if I click on this little down arrow just here, I can say, let me normally do it. Or we can move it here and here. Also in here, create new label. Okay, underneath that label button just there. Alright. There's other ways I can show you, but they just get confusing. So there's multiple ways to do it. Okay. So are we okay with that? Yeah. So once again, you can take an email, move it, or you can just reassign labels to it. So if you, just say for instance, you had all those emails and you wanted to assign them to a new folder and start fresh, you would simply just select the emails that you wanted to move, or come up here and click this one and select all. Now that's going to select the 50 that are on this particular page. If I wanted to select every email that I had, I could just click this one, all right, and then I could just grab that and move them. All right, it's going to take all my emails, put them into a, past email folder or whatever you want to do with them, and it will do that for you. So you're okay with that concept? Yeah. Now, one of the things we were talking about was how we filter and set up rules and so on. So just say, for instance, this email here, if I click that little down arrow, I could say filter messages like this. Right? So then we set up our rules. So I could say anytime that someone from this email address emails me, or anytime that it's sent to this particular email address, or anything that has this subject line, or has the words included in the email somewhere, doesn't have these words included somewhere, has attachments and all sorts of things, what do I want to do with it? So that's when once I've set up my trigger rules here, I'd click on create a filter with this search, and I can set up my parameters. So one parameter might be that you want to skip the inbox and you want to archive it. Right? Now remember, it's not about taking an email off you and putting it somewhere, it's just putting it in a different label. Right? So rather than it coming and hitting your inbox all the time, you might want to take it, automatically push it across to a label, and you'll check that label when you get a chance, rather than it clogging up your inbox and you have to manually process it. Okay? You might want to mark it as read, you might want to apply a star to it, you might want to automatically apply the label. Okay? So in that case you might say, anything that comes from Blake, I want to skip the inbox and I want you to apply the label Gave Community Registration. Right? It'll take it and automatically farm it off there for me. I could automatically forward it to somebody else. Okay, so if there's a task that you're regularly doing on a particular subject, you usually get that, forward it, just automate that process. Sometimes you'll have emails that just are spam or they just won't stop emailing you. I just go skip the inbox and delete it. All right? And I don't even see it, it's just gone. If you're having troubles with Gmail sending emails to spam, then you can say don't send it to spam, so it teaches Gmail not to do that. And here's where you can send that canned response. Remember, in the labs feature, one of the features we turned on was canned responses. So you could automatically send a canned response, and it will just drop it and send it. I'll show you what that looks like in reality in a minute. Or you could categorize it. Now, categories are the ones that sit across the top. I'll show you those in a sec. So you can set up your rules like you would normally do in Outlook, okay, or triggered on keywords or different actions. So we got any questions to that point?
So Joan's got 40 people sending her assignments to Mark.
Yeah.
And say all of them are told to put ED486 in the subject.
Yeah.
Then the rule's written that just peels all of them off and puts them into one folder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that answer your question before?
Yes, it does, and I have got as far as, I've just about caught up to the labs part of it, but yeah, I have to just...
Yeah, no, you're doing well.
I'm doing awfully well, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's around that concept. It's about automation, it's about inbox zero, it's about how do I do this effectively. So for me, I haven't got labels that are showing, right? So if I just go over to the settings, so back up to that cog and then settings. Once again, there's multiple ways you can do things. So here's all my filters. All right. So any email that comes, this is my fax service. So if a school sends me a fax, it goes to a certain email. It goes to a certain phone number, which is actually just an electronic number that then converts it to an email and then sends it to me, much like what you guys would be using. So what I do is I say anything that comes from my fax service, skip the inbox and apply the label faxes, all right? And then all my faxes sit in one spot. I don't have to touch them. So in terms of labels, you can set up all your labels here, just the same as we did before, create new label, all right? You get some options. Do you want to show the label all the time? Do you want to hide the label so it doesn't show up in this list and it gets hidden underneath your calendar there? Or do you want to show if unread? So most of the ones that I'm using, I've clicked show if unread. And what will happen is if an email comes in, skips the inbox, gets archived and gets applied to a label, then that label all of a sudden just to pop up and appear here, and I'll know that there's a new email in there because it's bold and because it's showing. All right? So I'm not sitting there wondering, oh, I wonder if new emails are going in there. They just automatically appear for me. The label just moves up the list, and then I can action that. So are we okay with that? Yep. So that's all just in how you manage your labels. So it really is around that automation side of things. Yep. In terms of creating new...
When the label moves up the list, in Joan's example where 40 students suddenly send their stuff and it all goes into that label, and there's 40 in the bracket as unread,
yeah.
Does that actually come up? Does it arrange them by totals?
No,
it's just alphabetical.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why for the, it all gets arranged alphabetically. So for me, if it's really important, I put an A and then a dash before the label name, and that forces it to the top of the tree. So yeah, if you have a look at that, so then there's B, then so A, B, C, there. So if I want it, I'll make sure I put an A there, and it brings it up to the top one.
So if you had 4 different new emails come into your labels, it will just arrange it from A to Z?
Your labels, yes. Yeah.
What are the differences between circles and categories?
Okay, so circles is just a Google Plus thing. All right, so these are just people that I've got in circles.
Okay, so they're your main.
That's like a different contact system. I don't ever use it. In terms of category, these are the categories up here. Now you can turn these on or not turn them on. And we can't relabel them at the moment, so they're set as forums, promotions, social, and so on. If you turn categories on in your Gmail, Google will go through your inbox and then move everything to where it thinks it should be, and it does a pretty good job of figuring it out. Some of the guys did it today, some of the teachers, and they were just amazed at how quickly it just organised their inbox for them. Now, if an email came in, just say this one here from Blake and so on, I wanted it in promotions. If I just drag it and drop it, it will go to promotions, and then Google will learn from now on anything that comes from these guys, put it into promotions form. Okay. Now, in terms of the way it works, anything that comes in forums just sits there. There's your promotions ones, and so on. So it's just a different way of working. Now you don't have to have those there. Generally, it's just a workflow issue. So once again, I'm trying to keep my primary inbox as empty as possible. So I don't there's how many in here? 305 emails. Most of them, I've scanned. Beginning of the day, I'll scan through them. End of the day, I'll scan through them. I'll just have a quick look. If there's anything, I'll click on it. If there's not, I'll just forget about it. And then every now and then, what I'll do is I'll just come in here, select all 500, delete, done. Okay.
So you're pretty confident the stuff that goes in there, you don't.
Yeah, because I've also scanned it.
Yep.
There's nothing I need to action. So, but I've been doing this for a while, so Gmail's really well trained for me. But yeah, just scan through it and find it. So are we okay with that? Kind of workflow around it.
And that's your Facebook notifications, your Google Plus, your LinkedIn,
Twitter,
all that stuff.
Everything.
Yep.
Anything with social media goes there. And those 305 are pretty much just like a day's worth. So that's what I was trying to say to the staff today. You don't have to read everything. You just don't have to. All right. So in terms of deleting things, when it says they will get moved to the bin, it will sit in your bin for 30 days and then it's deleted. So just be aware of that. In Outlook, you could just leave untold thousands of emails sitting in there. After 30 days, they're gone. Now, because you've got so much space given to you inside Google, it's better not to delete things. It's better to archive things because then you're never going to have the trouble of not being able to get them back again. So you could have, goodness knows, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails before you'd even come close to using up your space. And then if you needed more space for some weird reason, you could get like 100 gigabytes worth of space for $2 a month. So just ridiculously cheap. So yeah, don't feel like you're getting locked into, I have to try and keep my inbox size down for the size component. That really doesn't matter. It's not a consideration. All right, so here we go. I haven't told it to turn off. All right, anyone got any questions around that?
I've got a question just about mail.
Yeah.
So if we're currently using Outlook and want to now change to Google,
Yeah.
will it take all of our mail, bring it over? Can we link up? Or do we have to start again?
No, the changeover from Exchange to Google it'll be done as a pretty major project here. So all your mail will be synced across over a period of a couple of weeks. And then the day that we decide to change you over, you can just stop using Exchange. We'll stop Exchange being the major point, and we'll make Google the major point. And the moment you start using Google, then when you read email and when you delete, it'll all just be there in Google. So you'll get whatever's current in Exchange into Google. A read mail will be read, a deleted mail will be deleted, etc. You'll open up on that day with your email fully processed, and then from that point, Google will be the place where you process it instead of Exchange.
So when's that?
But we haven't, this is just early days in terms of Kathy, and Kathy hadn't turned around and said, yes, we're going to do this, but I'm just flagging it with you. The fact that Parramatta's done it and Sydney's done it.
So they all on Google.
Yeah, they just moved. Parramatta did 62,000 people in 90 days, I couldn't believe it. Because Greg Whitfield walked in and said, no, we're not doing this anymore, we're all going to Google. And his staff scrambled and they got Mike in and they did these PDs around the diocese. I mean, we won't do that. That's not how we fly here. But
Well, I hope we'll get the PD, because when we got Outlook, we got the walk, the step through. I don't think it's a matter, as I keep saying, of trying to convince us it's a good way to go. Speaking for myself, it's the PD. If you say this is the system we're going to use, and we're going to use it in 3 months, and you put on 4 lots of PD that are hands-on, that I can work with as I go, then we're fine. And I don't know how others feel about it, but it's not a matter of being draconian and saying we'll go that way. It's a matter of saying we're going this way when, and this is the PD you'll get, and then it's up to me to get myself there and understand it. It's not a matter of trying to convince me it's a good idea or not.
we'll probably do it department by department, because
It's the hands-on PD that I think is necessary.
Robbie, when you just said that just transfers across, I can see my mail in both Gmail and Outlook.
Yeah.
But what I'm deleting out of Outlook is not deleting out of Gmail.
At the moment.
No.
At the moment, as you've seen it.
I just deleted something out of Outlook a few minutes ago and it's still appearing in Gmail, in my inbox list. And I've also got 28 drafts in my Gmail inbox list that are not drafts. They're emails that I sent ages ago and I've had replies to.
So have we done something?
I don't know, that's what I'm
saying.
saying. I've got no idea this was set up for me, I don't know.
Because she came from the school that I
No, this is a new computer and I've had
I have the same.
email addresses changed and
Yeah. So does that just mean there's a auto forwarder set up on your Gmail to forward it to
I think so.
your Outlook account? That's all it is.
Well,
So
see,
you're deleting it from Outlook, but it's still in your Gmail account because it's just been auto forwarded. Would that be right?
Well, that's what you did with all of us, the auto forward, when we had that nice PD.
But I don't understand why the drafts are appearing in Gmail because I always create them in Outlook and they've not been drafts, they've been emails that have been sent. Now it tells me I've got 28 drafts in Gmail and I haven't got any drafts.
so your Outlook for all of you guys is still the place for all. Exchange is the place for all your mail. If the internet sends it to Exchange. If there's any doubt what it is, we'll just flush everything in Gmail, right? We just delete it, and then we sync you up to Exchange. And then at some point, we stop Exchange as being the place to collect your email, and we make it Google, right? People are sort of playing with the two at the moment. When we actually make the transition, it'll be a non-issue. And people like me have made the transition so that I can be sure that it all works and things. I don't manage mail in 2 places, it just comes to one.
Yeah. And I'm happy to do one and I'm happy to be Gmail. That doesn't, Yeah, I'm just wondering why there's the difference between the two.
So it's something to do with us, either us trying to give you a chance to play with both, or I'm not sure. I know Tina, for example, we were syncing mail between Outlook and Google, but Outlook was the source. So Tina would go and have a look in Outlook, and then you go and have a look at Google, and Google might take another 10 minutes before the email even appears.
Yeah, it does, calendar.
Calendar,
Yeah.
because it's a sync that isn't in real time.
Google Calendar, and we want to look at it through the Outlook view, because that's, yeah. And what I'm thinking, project.
Is it syncing now? What distance?
Can you email on behalf of other people through Gmail? Like,
Mike, can you email on behalf of people?
Delegated access. So you say, for instance, if you were Roby's PA, you could get into his email and do that.
No, well, I don't want to. Well, yeah, I need to. Can you get dual views? Like I can actually see my boss's emails and my emails on one screen, or do I have to open up?
There's an extension that allows you to do that, or what you can do is you can run like Chrome on two separate windows and just flick between the two.
Okay.
But there is an extension that brings more
And
together.
do I have to jump into her emails to send an email? I want to send an email on her behalf.
Yeah, you would.
Okay, so I have to be in her emails
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, so she'll give you delegated access to her email account, and it will say from you on behalf of such and such, but you can change that with email signatures and a few things, because sometimes they don't want them to know that it's like a delegated responsibility.
There's a drop down that appears. So when you do your email, you can decide who to send it from.
Okay.
And in that drop down is anyone who's given you delegated access. So,
Yeah.
so if, for example, you're temporarily going to be early secretary, because Noel is going on holidays, he has to give you delegated access to his mailbox, and then it appears in your drop down, and you can just act on it.
And then when he comes back, they can revoke that access if they want. Yeah. Yeah. So does that start to answer some of those questions? Like, just I'm trying to give you big picture stuff that you can just see the two comparing to each other. Are okay with that? Yep. Is there any other questions you've got around that? Do you want to see canned responses or anything, or is that just a little bit too micro and you want to just stay at that macro level and big picture stuff? You're all good? Have a look at calendars for a bit? Yep. All right. So when it comes to calendars, basically it works the same as Outlook, a few differences. You can set up all your different calendars that you've created and you've got access to, sit here on the side. And then calendars that other people share with you will sit down here on the bottom, but they can all show up here or not. Okay. So you can see, for instance, this one, green one here, so the Townsville ELG calendar, that's this green one that's sitting just here. All right. This blue one, that's my personal calendar. All right. So I can have all my multiple calendars there. If I don't want to see that calendar anymore, I can just simply click and it takes it away. All right. So it kind of works the same. To add, you can just click somewhere on the calendar, type what you want. All right. Choose the calendar that you want it to go into. And then if you wanted to, you can edit the event and all the stuff that you'd be used to seeing. So days, times, does it repeat, is it an all-day event? One of the great things that is built into this is find a time. So if I was going to invite somebody via email address, if they've shared their calendar with me, then I could see when they're free. Okay. So you can just see everyone's calendars, see that everyone's free on this particular time slot, book it and invite them knowing that you've got a high chance of them saying yes, because you know that it's not emails going around who's here and who's not and when are you available and who's not. Yeah, so you can have a calendar, every calendar for each of your rooms and all your different resources, and you can set that up on automation. So you'd have a calendar as a resource, then you want to book that room, you see that the slot's available, you click it, you type your name in, it puts it on your calendar and then takes that away as being available. So somebody else comes and looks at the calendar and they don't even see that appointment slot as being available. So you can create appointment slots like that. You can create appointment slots for people the same way. So rather than setting it up here, you can say, I'm available for 2 hours and break it down into 20-minute appointment slots or something. Someone can just click the link, automatically sets it up, sends you a notification that someone wants to meet with you. So you can do all those sorts of things. One of the things that we use quite a bit is video calls. You don't have to use them, but that's a Google Hangout, like what I'm doing with Roby right now. And you can remove that. But what it does is it automatically creates the link. So if I go to today's thing, if I was going to join that online meeting, it's right there. Right? So it's great for just video conferencing and so on.
If you switch to my full screen view mic in the Hangout, is that me?
That's you.
Yeah, so what you're looking at there, the pink is the TCEO calendar. So if I don't want that to show anymore, I'll just get rid of it and see it's now disappeared. Do you know what the purple is? Purple's Bernie's calendar, so she's a teacher at a school and she can share the calendar with me. Again, great for picking the right time to do appointments and stuff. And she can even do it temporarily and then remove that sharing. So one of the reasons this is so attractive to the office is we can start to share with the people who we're serving in our service teams.
So, if I set up a calendar, if I've got to organise 300 parent-teacher interviews, can I set up a calendar in by each family and they can book their own time?
Yep.
Or do you do appointment slots or something for that?
So if I did a 20-minute appointment slots on any given day, will they then be able to go in and book their own time slot?
The only caveat is that obviously for that to work, they've got to have a Google Calendar. So if they don't have a Gmail account, it won't work.
Okay.
So when we set up some of the schools, we actually give each family gets a school account granted by the school.
Right.
So it would just be, so we do it last name, how do we do it? Oh, we have the word family, then dot, and then their last name at TSB or whatever it would be. And then we give them that Google account as theirs to use. And then it gets managed centrally.
So it would only work if they've got an account.
Yeah, or a gmail.com account.
And that would be a nightmare. So places like Ryan, all of our schools use Parent Teacher Online. It's a commercial product which sends parents to a website, they click on the link, they go. I think it gives them a key or something. And then based on that key, they can book themselves appointments.
The PTO?
Yeah. PTO, yeah.
But you have to have an account first.
Not for that one because you just buy the accounts and send people up. Yeah.
Are you able to make a calendar entry private?
So if I go back to sharing my screen. So if there's two ways you can do it. With my mic reading calendar, if I go once again back to calendar settings, I can see who's sharing this calendar and what they can do, right? So this is someone who often likes to see where I am in the country so that she can book schools or appointments around where I'm at. So I say that she's allowed to see all details, but she can't do anything to my calendar. She can't add things, she can't remove things. This is my wife, so she can see all event details, but she can't add stuff to my work calendar, right? But she can see where I am. Then I've got my two PAs, and they can both make changes and they can manage the sharing. So they've got full control over my calendar. So if you wanted to, what you could do is just, if you've got your calendar and not sharing it, no one can see it except for you, all right? And then what you would do is if I was going to create an event, is I could add somebody in, okay? So just say I was going to invite Roby, all right? It's going to send him an email, all right, and give him just that little access into my little world, all right? If I can let him invite others, see the guest list, modify, and so on. And there is that suggested times, which is find a time. So if Roby had shared his calendar with me, I can see what he's doing, he can see what I'm doing, and we'll find a time for us. And
if that,
and the privacy's done.
yeah. So do I want to show me as being available? Busy. This is a lab setting inside, when we go into your settings inside calendar to set it up. So if I'm already doing something and someone, just say Roby was already busy, it would just automatically decline me and tell me that he's not available. Right? Then I can say privacy is going to take on the default of the calendar. Is it going to be public so we can see everything, or is it private? Yeah.
So when it's a private email, private calendar entry, what do they see at the other end? Do they see a block, a busy block?
No, just see it blocked out and it just says busy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what I could do is I could also take my whole calendar, make it public, and then people wouldn't be able to see where I am or who I'm meeting with, but they'd just see Mike's busy here, busy there, free there, and so on.
Yeah. Mike, if you screen share again,
yeah.
I sent an invite to all the e-learning guys, which was the big meeting we had today, and there's the group, just like all principals or whatever. And you can see there on my screen, it's just one entry, TSV e-learning guys. But then when I hit the drop down, when I hit the expansion, that should see how it expands out, and there's ticks next to all the people who've accepted my invite. And that's the same for principals, conferences and things as well. I send to the whole group, and anyone who opens and accepts, I can see that they've accepted in one place, on the calendar in one page. I find that really handy.
Yeah, and you can see Roby's reminders there. So he's got a pop-up 10 minutes before it starts. He's got an email that gets sent 20 minutes. And he's got another email that gets sent 1 hour before. So you can set all your reminders up. One of the ways you can set reminders up too is if you, just say I shared my calendar with you, you can go in and set up your sharing and notification settings and tell me and get emails or SMSs, like text messages, when someone adds an event, takes an event away, edits something about an event. So there's always no excuses for people not knowing and being absolutely up to minute all the time, especially through
notifications. So just add an SMS there 10 minutes prior.
Yeah.
So Google must swear the cost of all those SMSs.
Yeah,
they don't charge for them. So.
They don't charge, for free. Yeah. So calendaring basically works the same. Right? Now, once again, and I won't, unless you want me to, I won't go in and show you the finer details, but if I go back here, is that showing up on your screen again, Roby?
Yep.
Yep. So in here, you can choose your different accounts, you can set them all up. They have the ability to take a look at your day, your week, your month. You can set up 2 weeks or a different alternate calendar here in your settings, or you can have an agenda calendar. You can see what all your reminders and notifications are and how they're all going to interact. You can see if people have been invited to different events and so on there as well. So all of that's there for you. It shows you your tasks on the side if you're working calendar, so you can tick things off as you're going. And smart reschedule. So this one here, basically Roby sent me a link saying am I available for today, but I already had my calendar entry in. So it's trying to reschedule and find a new time for us to do that. So once again, it's all this automation that you can have. So has anyone got any questions about that? It's all pretty good, all pretty the same. Create an event, invite people via email address like Roby showed you, puts a big long list down there. Once that's in, one of the things you can do is you can go and email everybody who's on your list. Okay, so it'll be an option inside your email account, inside your calendar account to email everyone. One of the other things you can set up in your labs and then in your settings is you can add attachments to your emails, to your calendars. So if you want to make a calendar appointment and then attach some minutes or something like that, you can just add an attachment. And that will work like Google Docs does, so you can upload even a Word file, PDF, different things like that. So okay with that concept?
How does it kind of talks about Google Calendar and your iPhones and your calendar on your iPhones? So I've got my Outlook one that links up with my iPhone calendar. So what happens for your Google? Can it link up with just your iPhone calendar as well, or? Yeah, you can sync it back to your iPhone. So and same with your Gmail, it can all sync back up. So yeah, there's several different ways you can make that sync work. But yeah, totally possible.
And that was the same as the iPhone currently works with Microsoft. It works the same way with the settings up to calendar contacts, your other things. Calendar contacts, email.
And are the distribution groups that are currently in Outlook, are they in Google?
We won't move you if they're not, because they're so critical. So
Yeah, but if we decide that we want to use Google, will that distribution groups that are available under the global addressable in Outlook be available in Google?
yeah. But we're doing it, we have to do it manually for now, and it'd be grim to make it all automated. So we make sure you have all the distribution groups, but then if someone else moves over and make sure they have all the distribution groups.
So it's not possible that we make cost now.
Let us think, we've got to think about the best way to do it, and how we're going to deliver the PD, and then are we going to do it department by department, as in the secretaries, the ELT member, they all do it at once. Yeah, so we'll, when we get to that stage, we'll share a plan with you, we'll help you make a plan. We haven't got there yet.
It's most of the schools are doing Google, aren't they?
Or they're all across, and we don't have any more exchange servers in any of our schools. It's all moved to Google from now.
The only one disadvantage of Gmail at the moment over Outlook is, when you're using your distribution groups and you send a group email, you can click on it and expand the group and then take that one person out, because maybe it's their birthday and you want to hide it. You can't do that in Gmail. So if you get a group, it's a everybody in group. So then what you have to do is create groups inside your contacts inside Gmail. And you can get around it that way, but that's the one thing they haven't added yet. So when they haven't start hitting support and saying this is an issue, because if you contact Google support, they tally up how many people want a particular feature, and the more points it gets, the higher up the list it goes in priority. So we keep saying to schools when they go to Google, just log into support and say, how do I do this? It's a real frustration. Can you please report this to the engineers? And it just keeps getting these 1 pluses next to it. It's the only thing that's missing at the moment. So are we okay with that? Do you want to go on and have a look at Drive for a minute?
Yes.
Yep. So inside Drive, all your things are organized. Let me just find, here's a doc that, here's a doc that I just created at AIS conference. I'll just try and figure out where it came from. So to share a doc, you can click on the big blue share button, okay? And you can see I've shared this with Swan from Google, right? And he can edit it. I could change his rights, and I could say he can only comment on the document or he can only view the document. So I can change at what level they can interact. I can move him out of that document, right, and delete him so he no longer has access to it. Okay. Or to invite other people, so for instance, if I wanted to invite Roby in, I can say that I'll let him edit, all right, and then I'll click send. He'll get an email that comes through saying Mike shared a document with him, and if he also goes to his My Drive and then clicks on shared with me, it'll show up in there for him. All right. Now, just on the side, any documents in your shared with me folder doesn't actually sit inside your Google Drive folder. It's simply a link back to the other person's Google Drive. Right? So to put it in your Drive folder, you can just drag and drop it into your Drive, and then you'll actually have it.
So if they delete it from their drive, it's still in yours?
So what will happen is if they've shared it with you and they delete it, you'll get a message next time you log into Google Drive saying such and such has deleted this document. Do you want to make a copy? In which case you say yes.
Is it only if it's in your drive?
If they've shared it with you, you'll get that message.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you move it into your drive and then you make some changes, will it change
Yes.
back in the shared?
Yeah.
Like the shared, it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what format.
And they then
Yeah.
delete it.
So the whole thing is if they've shared it with you, you can see here Roby, I know he's looking at this document right now because he's there. He's also pink, and there's his cursor there. Okay, so I can see where he is. Now, because I've shared this with him, he can make all those changes because I said that he can edit, and that's editing it for me. If Swan was to look at it next week, he would see those changes immediately. We can all see it's always the latest version up to date, real time. All right. Now here's the problem. If Roby went in and clicked on the share button, because I've given him full edit rights, he can just go and add other people and invite them to that document as well. Okay. There's nothing to stop him doing that. Well, there is. If I go click on share, see here it says editors will be allowed to add people and change the permissions. If I click on that little link down the bottom that says change, I can say only the owner can change the permissions. Right? Now I'm the owner, which means they can still look at it, edit it, do everything like that, but Roby couldn't come in here because he doesn't like Swan and say, well, he can only view it from now on, or take him out of the document. All right? So it's just one way to stop your docs going viral. Yeah. All right, so you can, it just gives you that extra layer of protection on your documents.
Like, you know, when you're sending one of these docs out,
Yeah.
and you might have 15 people to send to,
Yeah.
and you put a little message in there. Where can I find, like in a sent item in Outlook, can I find it anywhere that it says I sent this at, you know, the 12th at 3:52 to these people, and what was the message I sent?
If I go file to this document here, file, email collaborators. Let's not email Swan.
So it doesn't actually, what she's saying is if she shares the document and it emails them, is it saved in the sent items to say that she's, like, is it only in the document itself, or does it go to Google and put it in the
I can't remember what date I sent it out, and what did I put in the comments?
No, it doesn't
It's a
appear
good
to.
question, because I've gone looking for emails that I've sent, and then I've realised that I didn't send it the traditional way. I send it in docs, and I don't think I can find it again. So you've got to be really careful using that embedded email function in docs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just say don't send, and then you actually send it through an email and then share the link.
If you want to keep track of that.
Yes, that's what I did.
Because Gail sent a survey the other day, but then needed to backtrack to see who she sent it to, which participants, and there's nowhere to say who it's been sent to.
What trouble did I have now is, and then I did the second survey, I copied the shortcut link, I said click here in Outlook. But what happened there, what was the trouble I had there? Was people couldn't fill it in, they wanted.
People came back and said that they needed permission
to fill it in.
You guys weren't there, were you? I don't think you guys were there when we did the Andy's Google Forms for survey session. Were you?
Well,
No, no, you weren't.
we're just trying to learn.
Sounds like they didn't untick that top box.
Yeah, we
Yeah, you did.
We did.
Then I had some burners that I was checking from, she's got her name now.
So what we told the secretaries who wrote that PD was,
Yeah, I was there.
yeah, you sign the form, you go to View Live Form, you grab that link, put in an email address and send it to everyone, because then you've got an email.
I might have sent, not
You've got an email tracker with it.
I didn't send the life form, I sent the one I was working on.
Yeah, we
that's
said never
cool.
sent that, we always said.
But you sent them the link that you used to edit the form,
Yeah.
instead of the live, viewing the live form.
I
There you
didn't,
go.
okay, so that one I didn't know I've got.
So when they went into the form, they've changed it for you.
Yeah.
That's,
That's what
Yeah.
Right, so it's the view life form.
So yeah, you've added them as a collaborator to that form.
and the only time you do that is if 3 or 4 of you.
Very long story.
So that's okay. So do you want to just check your emails? Because I emailed you out of that doc.
Yeah.
Email
Any
collaborator.
ideas you can use with your school?
No.
Not that one.
Should just come under 365 session, what I noticed.
Yep, sorry, it's under my primary, so 365 session is what I noticed, yeah.
Yep, and I just wrote this as a test.
Yes, this is
Yep.
a test and a link to the document.
Yeah, so that's not coming up in my sent mail, but you've definitely got it in your email.
That's right.
Okay.
I wonder if there's a lab or something that would. The other option is when you do it, there's a little box that says send a copy to yourself,
Yeah.
and then you get the copy in your own. Then you keep track of it.
But it doesn't tell you who you sent it to.
No.
Because it just gives you, so it
Well-
doesn't mean they resend it.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
It just gives you the wording of what you mean. So
It doesn't end the person.
Yeah. And that's what,
Right.
so you just don't do it that way.
So be cautious here how you use this thing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I just emailed Swan. Okay. Oh, it does. If you send a copy to yourself, it says it's to Swan and to you. It's there.
Oh, there, so that's great, that's really good.
So you just got to tick that box. Send a copy to
Copy
yourself.
yourself.
And then-
I ain't good at it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't show you all.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. Just here. So it got sent to me, CC'd into Swan and into Rogan. Okay. So, yeah, drag them. That's not in your drive file. You need to drag them in. Sharing, you can click that little link down the bottom to change who those people then can't share that document outside. What was the other question you had around Drive? Someone had a question before we started. If you want to move, if you want to put one document in multiple places, so not make copies, so that if, wherever you are, whichever folder you're looking in, if you change the document there, it populates everywhere. You just click that checkbox to choose the document you want to move, and then you just click the More button, and then Move To. All right. But as you're choosing folders, just hold down the Control button. Then it will take that one doc and it will put them into all those different folders. So the same way as one email can live in multiple places, one document can live in multiple folders. And it's the same document. So it doesn't matter where you change it, it'll automatically populate across everything. Yeah. Now the reason you might want to do that is that if I was to, just like I can share a document, I can create folders and then I can share those folders with people. So as soon as I put a document into that folder, I know that it automatically gets shared to that person. It automatically got it.
So those surveys, I can share that with Mary Ellen or with Gary if they need to
They'll
see.
just automatically get it.
Oh.
Yeah. And if I'm in, say, this is the one from one of my PAs, if I go create a document, it says the created item will have the same sharing permissions as the folder. So if I go create and share, Eileen's going to get a copy of that straight away. I don't have to go up to the blue button, click share, and then share it. It's an automated process.
So we've got teachers in schools who create a unit of work, so that's an RE unit. Okay? They put it in their own organisation. And then they decide they've got to now share it with their APRE. Well, they can have it in their own organisation, also appearing in a folder which the APRE accesses. The APRE decides they're going to share it with Joan and Kylie and John. So they then share it in their own organisation and with Joan, John, Kylie. The person who was the initial edit, the initial owner of the doc, makes a change. That change flows all the way through to all those different people who've got access.
That's good, isn't it?
The other classic example was the school improvement tool. You know, we had one person authoring it here in the office. I had to use it. The DCC wanted to have a look at that document and leave comments. I wanted to use it in the ICT meeting. You can take that one doc and share it to these different groups with comment rights only. You don't end up with all these multiple versions. And the document appears in all these different folders: the ICT subcommittee folder, the curriculum committee folder, the RDCM folder. And they see the comments of everybody if they've got a comment, if they've got view rights yet. In fact, we discovered if you have 75%, if your document is expanded to a certain percentage, you can't see comments.
Oh.
You've got to bring it back to something and then we can see all the comments. And it's a different issue.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to think, someone had a question they wanted answered around Drive, and I forgot what it was.
Oh, yeah.
So we're currently creating forms for life cycle.
Yeah.
The life cycle, that's your form with all the bits to fill in.
Yeah.
Life cycle sends this out to the user.
Yeah.
The user fills it in.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the owner. And all that data is stripped out and put into a database. But you can print that form or you can send it to other people and they see all the data in it. They see all the...
So they see the answers printed in the form.
They see it printed in the form. Whereas Google Forms doesn't, does it? It strips it out. And so other than mail merge, I couldn't think of any way to duplicate that situation.
No. You can print the form, but it's going to have all the blank answer spots.
Not people's response spots.
Not their responses.
Does your... Sorry, this came out. I'm not even related to what you're saying. Sorry.
I was thinking,
So,
That's all right.
is there a size limit to your drive? Can you just chuck the whole...
To Google Drive. Any document that you create that is in a Google format doesn't count towards your space. And then you've got about 25, for an education account, you've got 25 gig worth of space. If you need more space, you can get 100 gigabytes for $2 a month. So it's virtually unlimited.
So as long as if you create a Google document, you're fine.
Yeah. Oh, even if you're not, $2 a month.
Yeah.
100
Kim
gigabytes.
Ballinger has now used up all of her space on the Google Drive. And I'm sure it's because she's got lots of videos up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive.
Photos.
Yeah, photos on Google Plus. You can set your phone up, and you take a photo, automatically updates. All of those count as well.
Without like that TCO directory,
Yeah.
it's got lots of photos in it. It's
Yeah.
about 17.
Meg or gigs?
Maybe.
Meg.
Oh, did you say gigs?
Yeah, you can get 25 gigs.
Oh, okay.
And that's another thing with Gmail. You can send attachments up to 25 megabytes in size.
That's good.
And listen, the shift from Exchange to Gmail doesn't mean we're not using Microsoft and we don't have our server and you guys haven't got P drive. That's all staying. Right? This is just where our mail, where the internet sends our mail, pretty much. And then you've got all these bonus possibilities within it with documents and stuff. So it's really going to be for your collaborative things that you're going to use this for. If you're writing all sorts of other things that are policies and publisher documents and which you convert to PDF and send to schools, you may still just do it exactly as you have.
I guess the problem would be making sure that what comes in on Gmail makes it to where it's got to go on our current files. If we're still running both, which is the question I asked about archiving before, because this way we have to actually make a physical copy and put it on our P drive.
If someone from the school sends you something.
Yeah, if something comes from school that needs to make its way to our P drive, we're talking about filing within Google, but we still have responsibility in some instances to get stuff onto P drive.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with Google Docs, it's just file save as, and it saves it as a Word document.
And that's probably the easy one. The bigger one is Mail.
Doesn't it throw the formatting of the document? Yeah. That would really screw it. Like,
Yeah.
remember that ICT policy that you were working on? It looked great in Google, then I saved it as a Word document so I could save it on my files, and a whole lot of it was just disgusting. Like I had to go in and redo just so I could get a printable document that was on my files. So,
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
is that way or is it the other way?
No,
If you start in
you
Word,
you shared a document with me, you shared a Google document with me, but I needed to get to SLT and I wanted to save it on my P drive. So, I saved it as a Word document, and it just threw the whole formatting of the tables, and and the font was, it was just,
Yeah.
I had to redo the whole thing. You know, it just was annoying.
One of the things that's coming is Google bought a company called Quick Office, and their whole purpose is that you can open up Word documents inside Drive, and you'll be able to open up Drive documents inside Word in a sense. So it just works out all that formatting for you. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's on mobile devices already. So like on my Android mobile phone, I can go through Quick Office and create a Word document without having any software whatsoever. So I think the fidelity is going to get a lot better between those tools.
the same with like Excel documents too. Can't else match sheet literally.
Can you say that it's in there?
No, because
The travel sheet's a
wraps
spreadsheet.
all the data out of place.
Oh, so it can't link up to that. We got to think of it because my staff are sending out like 4 different calendars, one to schools, one doing the travel sheet. Then they've got their own calendar. So they might have to duplicate that 3 times in 3 different versions to suit the needs of everyone that they're coming to. And that's before they start putting in, okay, 8:30. So,
I'll ask Mike the question. Mike, you might, I don't know if you can see it up on the screen, but we had traditionally had a travel sheet. It used to be a Microsoft spreadsheet, and it was a pain because if more than one person tried to open it, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Right. So then we moved it to a Google spreadsheet, and it's just a duplicate of what we used to do. The nice thing is, you can go across and you can see exactly where Becky is. You know, her name stays put, and you can see that whole sequence.
Yeah.
When we were moving it across, I thought, oh, we won't do it as this, we'll do it as a calendar.
Yeah.
When you do it as a calendar, you lose that ability to track somebody across the page nicely.
For the month.
But when you do it this way, you lose the ability to sync this with your calendar or do anything smart with it. It's just a spreadsheet. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I thought you might.
So when you're saying to track the person across the sheet, if you pulled up your calendar, so each one of those is a different, it's a different day.
It's a different day across the top.
Yeah.
The people on the left here.
Yeah. So how far do you want to see? You want to see the whole, track across the month. Is that the issue?
Look, I suppose what you could do, because a calendar is,
Because it would look exactly like that if it was a calendar.
So it is the tabs on the bottom, actually.
if it was a calendar and all of us had a particular code, so if you go look for me, if you go,
Then you have to open up like 70 calendars.
No, because they'd all just come into one place.
yeah, they'll all appear on this one calendar. And then when you do your search, so if I go to a search for CNET, because I don't have travel calendar, we don't have a calendar with all our names in it. If I do a search for CNET, it just shows me, it shows me all of my, so say that I search for Agile Northerner, it will just show me all of the Agile Northerner travel all the way down the page. The advantage of it is anyone can click on any of your travel dates and see it gives me the option up there, add to calendar. It won't give me the option because I own it, but it'll give anyone else who's got view access to that the option to add my travel to their calendar. I don't know why I didn't do that, but maybe we look at moving from the spreadsheet to a calendar.
So what do you have in trouble with your calendar? You can't see in case they've got 4 appointments in one day.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and look, we don't really need to see that, but what they're having to do is every time they'll do a timetable for me, so they go to this school this day, that school the next day. So they'll do that up on one piece of paper, and then that gets distributed to the principals of these schools, and I see it. But then they have to go in and put in the travel sheet, and they have to enter it all again, all the way along. So they're keeping that calendar, they're keeping the calendar for me in their schools, and then they've got their own diary that they're keeping as well. And I was just wondering whether there's a way we can link up
There is.
sort of calendars with the travel sheet, so that
Yeah, so an
do
attachment.
it 4 times. Every turn they've got to enter it into a number of different locations in order for that information to get out.
So yes, I can see, don't exactly understand the process, but you could either attach an attachment to an event calendar, and then every time they log it in, they just add that Google Doc or that Google spreadsheet. The other thing is you could just say, here's a group spreadsheet. Anytime you want to change things, it goes to that spreadsheet. Everyone just knows where it is, but it's not necessarily attached. But they just know in my Drive folder, there's a spreadsheet for the time. Here's my calendar for bookings. They could do it that way.
Is it not, you know what we could do? We could have,
To share each of their calendars with principals of the TXWDs from each of those schools, and then the class.
There's something else we can do too. Every time I add a travel thing into my own calendar, which is where I add it, I can add someone as an invitee. Like I can add a user called travel calendar as an invitee, and that automatically then goes into my calendar, into this global travel calendar place. And all of us could do it. And then what you do is you search the global travel calendar, and you can look up Roby and all my travel comes up. I can look up anyone and all their travel comes up.
Yeah,
So I'm only adding it once. So that would work.
Could you restrict what people can see?
No, actually.
Let's say you don't have a personal, you don't want everybody else to see it.
I'm busy.
Well, you would only share it to the travel calendar if it was something you'd normally open up a spreadsheet and add. So everyone can see that anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not automatic that everything is shared.
No, you choose what you're sharing. So all the travel.
I can invite or share that.
And then
Yeah, but then your calendar would look really messy because you'd have like a limited detail one that links over to the other calendar, but you actually want the detail in your calendar. Like what?
My calendar would have all the trips that I have booked, which is what I want. But because I've shared it with the travel calendar, all of my trips also appear in the central calendar. And I've only put one entry in.
You won't be the only person on that one day that's traveling, so we could have 50 people put their information in the travel calendar.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the only way it makes any sense is you have to look at agenda view. Otherwise it appears as
So you have
calendar.
just detail. And that's what we've got in that spreadsheet is Curry,
That's okay. That would be alright.
So if it was agenda view, would it matter? Because
No.
when you go agenda
No.
view, you just get a list of
Yeah, who's here,
people and where they're going, and that's what you're evidently getting in that calendar.
We didn't change it.
By day, which is nice. Yeah. See how it's all organized by day.
What happens when someone's sick?
What do you mean now? What do you mean when someone's
But why, you'd have to ask a question, why we did.
I don't think they do that on the calendar.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
put sick days in the calendar.
No.
No, they do alter it. There's been HR staff services follow up with someone applied to leave on that day.
Who puts those in?
reception?
Reception, if you bring in sick, you have to bring reception.
And they write it in the calendar.
They put it in the
I
travel.
must have never been sick.
You just have to determine what it is
But
you're
that's-
trying to get out of that calendar.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
it'd be easy, because on a calendar, if reception goes and opens it and they put edit rights and they put you down as sick, then people in employment services do a search on all the words,
Sick,
on the word sick, and everyone just comes up,
Yeah.
the dates they were sick.
make sure they match it. Some forget to put it in.
We'll look at it, but maybe a calendar is a much better method than using a spreadsheet.
And it may be that, that the way our team is leaving, that we don't need to, my 16 staff don't need to be on that travel schedule. And then we just come up with a different way and that they share it with their principals and the basics get put into it. They do it once, we can get access to it, the principals can get access to it, but not everyone else needs to see
Maybe
it.
we consult, like that, so whenever students passed,
Mm.
and they might say, find us a consultant, the guidance counsellors, who just go and do it. Is that what you're saying, and show up?
Yeah, we could just look at who's sharing with, but it's just a complication with Google Calendar. I don't know that any of our girls are using the Google Calendar at this stage, because we're all still on
Yeah.
that. So,
But if they're in schools, they should be, in schools,
not necessarily, some of them do, if they're based in one school, like Holy Spirit or something, and they're there full time.
That's still managing too, so they've all got TSU or Catholic accounts,
Oh,
so they're all
yeah.
on exchange.
Sorry, we get off track a bit, don't we?
No, you got to flush this
But
stuff out.
we're solving things, I suppose.
That's great. It's hard when you're trying to make two things work. They just, you can do it, but and you can solve bits of it, and then suddenly there's an update to Google or an update to Microsoft, and the sync suddenly has to be done with your solved again. So, there.
Amen to that.
Then moving to the web, the other risk is obviously you've got to have the web on. And whilst, yes, you can keep things offline and stuff, you know, in Outlook, you can just open it up and you're traveling in the car and you can be working when you're not connected and things.
Yeah.
With Google is really, it's designed to be online. In fact, calendaring doesn't even have a, oh yeah, it does, doesn't it? Calendars does not offline view. I never use it. I don't know about you guys, but being offline isn't really an issue for me. All ELT, I've got a data phone. If I'm not at a school or not at home and using Wi-Fi, I can connect to my phone and I've got internet access anyway, so. And you guys, your work is in office, isn't it? So I can't remember the last time we did anything.
Maybe we will need data phones.
Yeah. That'd be great to listen to, yeah. Sometimes we're driving to work, the plane's hit,
I just got covered on my own personal iPhone.
forget the phone.
You can just
I've got to go back and change it. You don't have multiple different phones. You change it to an iPhone. I've so many different things to carry and.
So Natalie, what else do we need with them forms, you know, that I'm always asking you for help. Anything to
Come and get the,
Really
we'll do it in
forms.
another video forms. We normally say that.
We had this thing this morning that I sent to the teacher of non-chip and said it showed up in his Trixie, trying to bounce Google or something. He didn't know who it was from. He didn't know, come down that little.
Is that your link?
No, that's when he showed me the link come up, you know, he said he didn't know who it was from, and it had my email address, it had the subject, what it was.
It's just the way he's got it. So he's having a go at us to say it wasn't secure.
Yeah, it was secure, because he got one previously about another teacher in the school via the UK. I don't know what he was talking about. Have you heard of
Who's
it?
this person?
Yeah, he's this teacher.
John Harrell. Shepherd, maybe, was it? I sent a Google survey form out, and he thought it might be spam, it wasn't secure because it came back through a Trixie, I think it was Bounce or something, scam, what did I say, Google? I hadn't heard of it.
Google Unbounce or Bounce.
It had Trixie in it.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah. So the thing that goes through.
He's on it, so
Yeah, but it was, he didn't think it was secure, so I don't know.
No, it is. It's
Why need you to?
I'm just trying to. Yeah, where is it? Google Groups use something that has the word bounce in it.
just send us through the stuff to look at it.
Oh, well, then we said no, we'll tell Mary Ellen. She said, see Jordan, Jordan wasn't here. Yeah, I had all that.
There's something similar, but it was like a mail a demon thing saying there was a problem with that email account, and so I printed it back.
No, he's received it.
I think there's something that happens when you use Google Groups like that as well. I just remember seeing what it bounce.
Trixie or proxy?
No, Trixie.
Trixie.
I'm telling you, not proxy. You want me to run back and I'll send it to you?
I'd love, yeah, when you get a chance, just send it to us.
You want to send it now, you can look at it. No.
With signatures on Gmail, are we not able to use our logo? You can? Oh, I thought so.
Yeah, no, you can upload it. That'll be up to
No, it was just.
where you provide a file for it, somewhere on a server that you can add. You can also get it so that like your signatures are mobile ready, like clickable links for with phone numbers and all that sort of stuff. It's just you have to upload a HTML file to make it happen. You can do that. You can certainly put your logo and different things into your email signature.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's probably what we need to.
I don't know why Google does that, but you go to set your signature up, and you type all the stuff in, and you put your disclaimer, and then you go to insert a logo, and you can't insert an image. All you can insert is a link, a URL. So we would have to post our logo up somewhere on the web and share it with the world, and then you guys just put that link in, and then the logo shows up. Which is how I
just
do it
on the
online.
logo of your diocese website, they would just put it back to that.
Yeah, which is I think right on mine.
So that's why when we receive emails from Rachel, nothing comes up.
Yeah, there's
That
nothing
says
there.
due on it.
Oh, that's different. I mean, it always gives you the option to, with a lot of these mail cards now, you press the button if you want to see the graphic. Otherwise, it doesn't bother with it.
Yeah, images are hidden by default.
It's the same with disclaimers. You can, so if you don't bother, you can't even see the disclaimer sometimes.
If you need to use multiple signatures, you need to create a canned response and then insert the signature through canned response. So when you're setting up your email signature, you need one signature per account. So you use canned responses and then you can have as many signatures in there as you like. Canned responses.
Have you seen enough?
No, I've done enough.
You got a sense of it?
Thanks for your help.
That's all right.
Might have to get him back again.
Oh, we will.
We got
We're going to do
Can we
this.
do the forms thing before too long?
Yeah.
Forms, creating new forms and surveys and I'll try and get the girls in.
There is. But we worked out you could make a copy. So every time now, if we get, like the APRE survey, is that what it was, make a copy or something to?
Oh, yes, you had to redo it.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, that hurts.
Now,
I love that say that.
I'm taking mine out to dinner tonight. If any of you are free, come and join us. I was meaning to remember the last.
I got something tonight, I got to go to the, oh yes, I got a birthday and so.